Star Wars has been saved, guys. Don't worry about it. Dave Filoni, the creative behind all of your favorite non-theatrical Star Wars properties. Oh my god, he is coming in and he's going to be right up there at the top. Well, right behind Kathleen Kennedy, because you know that South Park thing that came out, that's the South Park special that, oh my god, it completely and totally eviscerated Kathleen Kennedy. Really did have those long-lasting impacts, because now Dave Filoni's going to be taking over. Dave Filoni's going to be working closer with Kathleen Kennedy. Oh right, Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm. They aren't learning anything at all whatsoever. They are not going to be course correcting. In fact, they are going to be going and digging back in their old bag of tricks, and they are going to be doubling down. I know a lot of people like the work of Dave Filoni, but then they're also critical of some of that stuff, okay? For as many people who love the first season of The Mandalorian, how often do you actually go back and watch that stuff? Exactly. You've also got to reconcile with the fact that that dude was a part of, oh, right, the second and third seasons of The Mandalorian. Your mileage may vary on the second one. I've listened to a breakdown of the first season. I've watched some breakdowns, some watch-alongs of season 2 and season 3, and can vehemently say, wow, what a fucking trip. Not in a good sense. Oh yeah, and that thing that everybody derides, the Book of Boba Fett, but Dave Filoni, he's the savior Star Wars needs. When was the last time he did anything that was even remotely heralded as a success? It was back in 2020. Everything else has been, well, some of it was good, some of it was bad, but oh my god, he was being kept under the thumb of Kathleen Kennedy and him and Jon Favreau. Oh, they banned Kathleen Kennedy from coming back to any of those sets, and that's why this specific episode was good. But now he's going to be working closer with Kathleen Kennedy, but then also overseeing everything else, so polluting them with those ideas. But hey guys, everybody loved Ahsoka, right? Because you got the Darth Vader guy, he came back and he Vadered. You got the Hayden Christensen, he's in the Clone Wars getup. It's all going to be great this time around. Everybody loves that thing that just wrapped up less than a month ago and nobody's fucking talking about and had shockingly poor viewership. You hand it over to that guy. Okay, you hand it over to the motherfucker who had full control over his bouncing baby girl, his OC, that he decided to put in a multi-million dollar, multi-hundred million dollar show, and nobody's fucking watching it. Normally, you don't fail up. But it's showbiz, baby, and that's exactly what happens, right? Because this is the first episode, and I was looking for more, because I remember hearing this story at the time. Oh, don't worry, guys. Disney Plus doesn't come out with all of their viewership figures, right? You know, Disney, which doesn't always shout out their viewership figures for Disney Plus. Yeah, they're the only ones who actually know the amount of people who watch this stuff, is letting everybody know that the first episode of Ahsoka clocked 14 million views, making the series #1 worldwide on the streaming platform. Hands down, per the studio, it's the most watched title on Disney Plus this past week, with how much new competition on your paywall service that is hemorrhaging subscribers. Oh, okay, cool. But it had 14 million views. Trust us, though, we're not going to provide you with anything else. But we're just going to tell you that it was a big old success. But actual verifiable third-party ratings company, Samba TV. Now, they have a smaller slice of the pie that they can go ahead and verify when it comes to ratings. They can track certain television apps, Roku, a couple of other things as well. So Samba TV reports the live plus 5-day viewership. Okay, so 5 days in totality. The first episode of Disney Lucasfilm series of Ahsoka drew 1.2 million households. Disney Plus and dropped the first 2 episodes of the Dave Filoni created series on Tuesday, August 22nd. The second episode clocked 956,000 households. And by the way, the first and second episodes were dropped at the exact same time. So enough people looked at the first episode like, wow, that was boring as fuck. I'm not going back for the second one. Even with the cliffhanger of the second most important character in the show getting stabbed through the stomach. Spoilers, she totally survives because lightsabers are fucking worthless. They might as well be twigs at this point in time. Thanks, Dave. Such insight you have there. Ahsoka is the live action sequel, yes, that Filoni's Lucasfilms created Clone Wars and Rebels. Yes, of course. Yeah, another toon series he created. Of course, and that's the way that he fucking writes. But just for simple comparisons, right? Okay. However, the ratings for Ahsoka Episode 1, Master and Apprentice, are down 50% from the live 5 plus... Oh, yeah. So from the 5 days of Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which I also watched a long-form review of, and wow! Who remembers the trench coat? If you know, you know, and if you don't, well, you probably have a considerable more brain cells, and your mental health is in a better position for not knowing that. It was dropped on May 27, 2022, with the Jedi Force pulling 2.4 million households. They're not getting into the 20s anymore. Come on now. Ahsoka Episode 1 is also down from the first season of Season 3, or the first episode of Season 3 of The Mandalorian by 29%. So yeah, you're going to go ahead and give that guy a raise. I would go ahead and show you further viewing figures, but nobody's released anything post the initial episode. This thing ran for 8 episodes, and outside of the day then it was dropped. Oh my god, guys, it's Tano Tooth Day. Oh my god, he Vadered. It's Thread. It's such a great thing. Nobody was talking about this. It fucking went out like a fart in the wind. Oh, but don't worry, guys. We're setting up for a second season. Trust us, though. Dave Filoni named Lucasfilm Chief Creative Officer. So they didn't have one of those before. So what exactly was Kathleen Kennedy doing? Was she actually overseeing all the projects that they had from the different creatives that were there over the past, decade that Disney has been creating Star Wars? But now, don't worry. The guy who continues to fail and drive people away from the franchise gets a promotion? Is that what we're doing here? Is that what we're doing? Now listen, I've admitted it before, time and time again. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I've watched all of the original 6 films at least once through. Film that I've probably seen the most, not on purpose or anything like that, is Attack of the Clones, which is kind of weird. The first time that I seen it was the year that it came out. I think that would be 7th or 8th grade. The day before Christmas, you know, you'd have like a movie day. We had a movie day at school or whatever, and me and my friends, we went to, you had a bunch of different movies that you can go and see. One was like Lilo and Stitch, and I'm an old head, so you know, just go ahead and put it at the time. But one of the only action films that the guys could go and watch was Attack of the Clones. It was the most recent home video release, and yeah, we watched half of that one, and then when the Blu-ray collection came out, I'm pointing to it over on my media shelf that's over there just as point of a reference. But yeah, then I watched through all of them, and it's like, yeah, the prequels were pretty decent, and yeah, you know, the original trilogy is lauded for being good films, as, you know, you would expect. I don't understand it inspiring a religion. It's not like it was that good, but at the same time, it was a cinematic landmark that really did propel the medium into the future. So yeah, it does deserve its status. But yeah, is it something that I jones to go for? Do I have like a yearly watch party for, you know, Empire Strikes Back? Am I able to recite line for line everything that happens in A New Hope? Okay, do I shed a tear when Luke successfully, you know, turns his father back to the light side just before, you know, his ultimate sacrifice when he thought that he killed Palpatine until he returned in Episode 9? That shit's so fucking retarded. No, I don't. But I respect them, and I respect the people who those films touched, not like Hollywood normally does, so very deeply. But when I see shit like this end up ultimately happening, just the inept motherfuckers that have just been around for a long time, oh, he worked really close with George Lucas. Okay, cool. Well, George Lucas also created the prequels, which were derided for a long time, and he's not like, you know, this godly, unquestionable figure in all of Hollywood. Like my favorite directors, you know, Coppola and Scorsese, they put out fucking duds, okay? Coppola made Godfather 3, and Scorsese made everything that he does with Leonardo DiCaprio. Sorry, it doesn't hit as hard as when Robert De Niro's the lead in that. And fucking, you know, crucify me if you will. But the similarity that I can see right here, that is as plain as day, is what's currently going on in wrestling. Something that I am, or at least was, very passionate about, and I think is a pretty good comparison with what you can get with Star Wars, you know, during its heyday in this late 70s, early 80s. Actually, all the way through the 80s, because when did Return of the Jedi come out? Did 86? Something like that? So yeah, throughout the 70s and 80s, you know, it was on top of its game. Looking at you, WWE, okay? During the golden era, and a lot of people look back at that time, it's like, oh yeah, Hulk Hogan. Whenever anybody just goes and tries to impersonate somebody doing a wrestling promo, you always get one of two impressions, okay? somebody trying to do a, well, you know something, brother, or somebody just immediately starts snapping into a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah. And well, for the most part, the in-ring work leaves a lot to be desired in recent years when it, gets viewed over and over again. It's exceptionally foundational. And of course, even with some of the, rough corners and jagged edges that you had during the late 90s, early 2000s when the prequels were coming out, you of course, had the Attitude Era and all that stuff. So yeah, for as many Obi-Wan Kenobis, Emperor Palpatines, like you had Rock and Austin. Well, you also had, the dialogue and rough in-ring work as well. But now in the current day, when there's more of a need for content, allegedly by the studios, because they need to fill up these, beleaguered streaming services. They just need to continue to, crank out content. None of it has to be of any kind of quality. They just need something to put on the platform in order to try to farm subscriptions. And instead of making something that appeals to the broad public, or hell, even something that captivates on something. No, you're just going to go ahead and try to push somebody until eventually they get over Roman Reigns and Ahsoka. Even if they aren't actually driving ratings, okay? Because I don't know where this is. Outside of the people that really like modern day wrestling, nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it at all. What happened? Well, instead of bringing in somebody with new or fresh ideas, what do? Oh, they just go ahead and try. Well, they don't try. They just promote somebody who's instrumental in its languishing position. Somebody who had a reign of terror in the early 2000s and, put him in front of, or put him as head of creative. That's not drawing any casual audience back that you used to have right by the throat in the late 90s, early 2000s. And the ratings reflect that. Raw still draws 1 to 1.5 million people every week back in the time during its heyday when it was drawing 6, 7s, 8s, and that would pop the occasional 9 million people checking out the product. But oh guys, WWE is saved, professional wrestling is saved because Triple H is in charge. You hear the exact same shit now whenever some fucking flash in the pan dog shit show comes out. Star Wars has been saved. Dave Filoni is our savior. Greatest storyline writer ever. Best booker in franchise history, right? It's unfucking believable. So yeah, I have great sympathy, great empathy for the people that are suffering through Disney Star Wars' just garbage creative period. And guess what? It's not going to get better anytime soon. Star Wars series architect Dave Filoni has been named Chief Creative Officer of Lucasfilm. The new position means Filoni will have an even greater voice in the future of the galaxy that's far, far away. Ugh. Filoni said in his sit-down that he's exploring a possible second season. Well, the first one left off on such a cliffhanger, and he ultimately wants to bring all of his disparate Mandoverse storylines together to have one big Avenger-style team-up at the end in order to take down that dastardly Thrawn who continues to lose time and time again. Like, I don't know why this guy's such a, monumental threat. You guys are just reading in some headcanon. For the people that actually enjoy this stuff, you're hearkening back to other iterations of Thrawn. This guy around, he's just kind of a potbelly seahorse posture having motherfucker who is just completely and totally coping about every loss that he has. Oh, what's that? We lost a bunch of battle droids. Things are going exactly as I've planned it. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? But he's great. He's great. He was written and adapted by Dave Filoni, and Dave Filoni is Jesus. But that's nice. That's nice that they're exploring a possible second season, because that's apparently also when all of the action and the actual story's supposed to progress with that one. But what's hilarious, and the reason that I had the Vanity Fair article, this is the sit down, but it's, fucking monumental in length. But if you'd like to read through it, go for it. But I don't think you're going to get too many insights as opposed to, wow, that's what they were trying to do with Ahsoka? Interesting. Didn't really translate onto the screen, but a couple of important things that are on here, okay, is obviously, yes, Filoni's new role. I'm not telling people what to do. Interesting, then what's the point of you getting a larger say in the production? No, we just need to find new keys to jangle, and that's what Star Wars is. Remember, that's what Star Wars is, guys. Lightsabers, blasters, Darth Vader. And speaking of Darth Vader, or specifically Hayden Christensen, well, he came back. Even though he had already returned in the much derided Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But this time, oh no, he's back. And such a big thing for the series because, you can't build your own characters. To carry your own projects, you have to continue to just rely and pilfer the past. But no, there's a bunch of convoluted shit that ends up happening in order to get Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker alluded to Darth Vader because he had a red lightsaber all of a sudden, and he said that Ahsoka needs to choose to either live or die. Very good dialogue. Definitely not something that, you know, the previous brain trust that Disney would have written down. This could only come from the mind of Dave Filoni. But he's telling you, yeah, we actually have no idea how that sequence works. It's called The World Between Worlds, by the way, okay? It's either a figment of Ahsoka's imagination after she fell off a cliff and probably drowned, maybe sort of kind of. She's basically Gandalf. Like I said, it's very convoluted. If you don't know, you don't know. And if you don't bother trying to fill it in and make it make sense, because they don't even know, and they're writing this shit, how to make it make sense. But it's called The World Between Worlds. She saw something, don't know what it is specifically. That's the beauty of how the episode is constructed, in my opinion. Inevitably, the audience has to question what it is that they're watching. Oh my great, oh Christ. Is this really The World Between Worlds? Didn't say it though, but we're just going to continue to allude to it. Yeah, because if you're just watching this show just off rip, just going, the fuck are we watching? Like, what is this place? And you haven't watched any of the subsequent reading material necessary to make this sort of make sense. You have no fucking idea. It's like, why are they on some walkway? Okay, why is there just, you know, drawings all over everywhere? And the fuck is this? What is The World Between Worlds? Is this actually the spirit of Anakin Skywalker? Or is this just in Ahsoka's subconscious and we're going to go down the yellow brick road as she's drowning and fighting for her life? Make it make sense, guys. Make it make sense. Filoni prefers to leave it a mystery to interpretation. Wow, I thought you guys hated the guy who previously relied on mysteries and boxes, who was in charge of the Star Wars creative vision going forward. But it's different now because this guy wears a cowboy hat. But he defers to Lucas as a definitive storyteller on Vader. Yeah, okay, cool. My feeling about Anakin is that George resolved everything about Anakin, but I'm going to continue to bring him back and pilfer his memory. This is the guy who's in charge, folks. He continued to hold his title of EVP, which he was raised to in 2020. So, wow, he's been in charge of all of this shit. He has been overseeing this stuff as an executive vice president of Lucasfilm during the entire run. So the stuff that you liked and the stuff that you didn't like. This fucker's been pulling the strings behind the scenes, but he's only responsible for the stuff that you do like. Not any of the stuff that you don't. Weighs in on a narrative level. Oh my God, Filoni weighs in on a narrative level while Kathleen Kennedy continues to lead Lucasfilm overall as president. Yeah, I tell people what to do, but not really, and sort of. But I got a new job, and now I'm going to make more money, and maybe, potentially, you know, for my little girl out there, we'll get a second season for her. Like I said, man, I'm not the biggest fan of Star Wars. I watch along and I keep up with the stories because it's still, even as damaged as it is, one of the biggest franchises in all of entertainment. And politics is downstream from culture, even though it's really tough to tell in a post-2016 world if it's culture or politics that's downstream of one another. But these are the tastemakers, alleged tastemakers, even though you take a look at the ratings, you take a look at the viewership numbers, and you start to realize, who the fuck is actually watching this stuff? Why is it nobody actually fails out of Hollywood? They just continue to fail upwards. But I feel for you guys. Somebody who would love to see wrestling come back to prominence, who would like to see sports get out of the political realm and just simply get back to good athletic endeavors. We're both in a similar boat, Star Wars fans and myself. That shit ain't happening by just simple wishing. It's being proactive when it comes to this stuff and calling out the nonsense when you see it. And Dave Filoni getting more control over Star Wars in its current state based on his previous performance. It's 1000% par for the course. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.